My BF, 32 male, freaked out at me, 30 female, for making my son something else to eat.
My boyfriend invited us to hang out at his place.
He said he was going to make supper.
He is a good cook, but he made pizza and the crust and the whole pizza was so hard to eat.
My kid said he can't eat it, it's so hard. Even when I tried to eat it was so hard. I told my boyfriend I'm okay, but I can't eat this, I have braces and I don't want to break my wires.
I then told my boyfriend maybe I can just order takeout. And he said no, there's a perfectly fine pizza here. I took a slice of pizza and I hit it against the plate and you can hear the sound it made on the plate of how hard it is.
After a while I grabbed some pasta from his pantry and I started to make the pasta. He said, "I hope you guys eat that whole pot." At this point I ignored him, and then he said it again.
I flipped out on him. I said, I'm not going to make my son eat something he doesn't want to. And I can't eat it with my braces.
He told me I'm spoiled, and when he was growing up we had to eat everything on the table, and he thinks I'm spoiling my child. At this point I just told my kid let's go home. We went home and I made him food. This wasn't the only situation. I also tried to grab some juice from the fridge and he said that's my juice.
I am beyond appalled. I brought over steaks few days ago and always bring over food. I told him I would never treat him like this when he comes over.
He always thinks I spoil my kid too much and baby him.
Since I'm always trying to talk to my son about feelings and so on. He thinks I should toughen him up. I told him, growing up I never had a say in anything, so when I raise my kid I ask him to speak my mind. I'm very annoyed with my boyfriend right now and haven't spoken to him. I'm not sure I even want to continue this relationship. My kid is 12. Update. He called me today. I basically gave him a piece of my mind.
Told him my kid is number one and that he's jealous and to deal with his own trauma. He didn't take it well and got angry and started shouting at the front. I hanged up and blocked him. Thanks for everyone for your help.
I'm single now. Relieved face.
What exactly are you seeking advice on? You say yourself that you don't know if you want to continue the relationship. Based off this post I would suggest listening to your gut feeling.
End that shit now.
That mentality of, man up, you're spoiling your kid, etc. makes terrible step-parents, and he's just going to act worse and worse towards your kid.
I'm a total wimp, but I have no problem leaving someone who tries to tell me how to parent, particularly if they think I need to toughen up my kid.
How do you think this feels for your son?
He didn't ask for this relationship. He has no choices.
Perhaps the boyfriend is good to your son in other ways. But he acted like a total jerk in this situation. If I make something for dinner that turns out poorly, I am likely frustrated at myself, but don't expect everyone to eat it. Your boyfriend acted like a bully. I love the values you are setting for your son, giving him opportunities to explore his emotions in a healthy way.
You may want to ask how this relationship is impacting him. What examples it is setting for him that his mom accepts this from a partner.
Perhaps you and your son deserve better.
My first thought was that he was embarrassed about his stone pizza, but
he always thinks I spoil my kid too much and baby him.
It sounds like this is part of a pattern.
My wild guess is that he had a shitty childhood and hasn't dealt with it, so seeing you waste his inedible pizza and treat your child better than he was treated is making him lash out.
He just sucks.
Either way, you're not his therapist, and if he's that resentful of how you treat your son, I can see him trying to compensate by being too hard on him in the future.
I'd bail. I think it's time to start thinking about ending the relationship.
Someone who doesn't want you or your son to eat is not worth your time.
That pizza was inedible and your boyfriend has some serious issues around food. I don't think I can forgive husband anymore. I 35 female, him 37 male. What are the odds he will ever grow up? Edit.
It's terrifyingly sad that the things I listed were some of the more tame things he has done. They're just the more recent things.
I want to clarify that him and I have been together 4 years. My 12-year-old is from a previous marriage.
This has been extremely eye-opening and cathartic.
I will use this opportunity to get some of the other things he's done off my chest. It's not good. I should have left before it began. I know that now.
When we were dating, we lived in different states.
It was his turn to visit me.
My childhood cat took a turn for the worst suddenly and had to be put down that day.
He was mad at me that it happened when he was visiting. He was mad that there was traffic on the drive and I had to console him while I was crying about my cat. He never expressed any empathy about my cat.
He always slept with his sheets tucked in.
I hate that feeling and stuck my foot out of the side and untucked mine. He said, "Now that actually frustrates me." My then 10-year-old was nervous to walk down the aisle at the wedding rehearsal. He was the ring bearer. I told him it was okay and that he could just do it on the actual day if he was comfortable. Husband did not talk to me the rest of the evening. Was so mad and yelling at me on the drive home. Wouldn't talk to me all night. Wouldn't talk to me the next morning.
Everyone was in town for our wedding and he wouldn't even talk to me.
I finally made him talk to me and he was so pissed off that I didn't make my son walk down the aisle to practice. I have never wanted to celebrate our wedding anniversary. It was 100% ruined by him. It's not a pleasant memory in any way.
Before our wedding I asked him to listen to 2 songs to choose one for our dance. He was mad that I was deciding between 2 and that I didn't know which one already. 7 days after we got engaged I found him laying in a pitch-black bedroom all alone staring into nothing. He finally told me what was wrong.
He said that I wasn't taking our engagement seriously because I hadn't booked a venue or anything yet.
Yet thought he was the only one doing anything.
He hadn't done a single thing. We went to the beach last summer. I planned to go with my in-laws and my 2 kids and it'd just be a quick trip without husband. He insisted that he wanted to go. He started complaining the second we walked out the door. This drive is too long. The route is stupid. I hate Jeeps.
Why can a gas station?
The road is stupid.
Then we get there and it's windy.
My son was having so much fun in the hotel pool. Husband laid on a poolside chair and complained that it was windy. He was hungry and no one planned anything but him.
Everyone was disorganized except him.
We wanted to get pizza and have an easy night. He refused to help pick what to eat but said he wouldn't eat pizza.
He then went up the room and don't help plan at all but was mad that we weren't eating. Every time it was time to eat on that trip, he would ask me what I had planned and I would say nothing. That we could all decide together.
He laughed at me and said, "Of course." I woke up that next morning to him staring at me while I slept. Like he was mad that I was asleep and not up planning what he would eat. We went to find a souvenir shop. He was mad that I didn't know which one he wanted to go to. He saw one on the way in and I guess I was supposed to memorize where it was. My son has anxiety and gets afraid of being alone. He was showering and called for me. He said he was scared and husband yelled, "Too bad." I went in there anyway. But it was like this every time he showered.
His grandma has a Mother's Day lunch at her house every year.
He has ruined every single one for me. When my baby was 2 months old, my first Mother's Day with him, I was trying to get myself, my baby, and the food we were bringing ready. Husband laid on the couch complaining that we had to go.
He didn't help with a single thing. Didn't help carry anything.
Nothing. Just complained.
My husband has a very bad anger problem.
He's made at me at least once a week for something that has nothing to do with me. He complains about everything and then takes it out on me and the kids.
Examples.
He said he wanted to help me wash my car. He turned on the radio. We started and he complained about everything.
This car is too big.
I can't reach the top.
Next time I'm getting a car with simpler wheels to clean. This hose is too short.
It's too hot. This brush sucks. This spray sucks. I used too much soap. This radio is pissing me off, turned it off for no reason.
Just on and on the entire time. If work is bad in any way, then he texts me saying he is quitting and going to find a minimum wage job because money isn't everything, and that I need to start preparing for that to happen.
I will then tell him that we need to talk about different jobs for him so we can be prepared, and he says, "Don't you think I know that? I'm not a child."
But then won't talk to me about it because he doesn't feel like it.
But we have that conversation at least once a month.
If I eat lunch or any meal without making him something, he gets mad.
One time I thought he was asleep. He was laying down with his eyes closed and had been for a while. I quietly made myself some leftovers. He came in later and said, "I guess you thought I wasn't hungry." He was significant other angry. We have a 1-year-old and a 12-year-old. I had to take my 13-year-old to some family 2 hours away. The 1-year-old stayed home with my husband.
Before I left he said that he hated I was leaving.
He said that because he didn't want to take care of our baby alone.
After I left he texted me saying that we weren't doing this again. When I got back he was mad and told me I need to tell thank you for taking care of our son.
I didn't want to say thank you. Because he complained the entire time and because he is his son. He shouldn't need a thank you for taking care of his own child. I clean as much as I can throughout the week. But with the baby and the fact that I work from home, some things get left to the weekend. He voluntarily cleaned the bathrooms one Sunday. I was taking care of the baby while he cleaned.
He came to me after he finished and was sulking and said, "I feel like I deserve a thank you and a hug because I've done so many chores and I don't feel like you care." I laughed.
I couldn't help it. He got really mad.
A couple days ago he came home for lunch and barely talked to me. I asked him how his morning had been and he kind of scoffed and said fine. He replied to everything I said with one word.
Then when he got home from work for the day, he was obviously still in a bad mood. So I just greeted him and left it at that. He was quiet for a while and then said, "Aren't you going to ask me about me day?"
In a very mean way. I said, "Are you going to ask me about mine?" He got mad and said in the rudest, most sarcastic tone, "How was your day, Amanda?"
I just looked at him and told him that he was way too sensitive about me saying the right thing at exactly the right time and that it wasn't fair to treat me like that when I have been nothing but caring and engaged our entire relationship. After that last one he asked me to be intimate with him that night and said, "I know I was a jerk earlier so I understand if you don't want to." I immediately said no.
But it made me feel bad. He never actually apologized or explained.
What are the odds that he will ever be better, or is he just a man-child who will never change? Too long did not read.
Husband thinks so highly of himself and takes himself way too seriously.
This was so sad to read.
You already know it's bad so I'll just say you should leave so your children and you can have some peace. If you don't jade the strength to leave for yourself, please do it for your children.
Girl, WTF. Why did you make 2 kids with this loser? Damn, that really sucks.
You have tolerated way too much shit and I think instead of leaving you just got used to the smell of shit. He isn't going to change and has no reason to.
This shouldn't be your life.
Actual man baby, he should be completely embarrassed.
His behavior is totally insufferable and pathetic. This sounds awful.
You're just walking on eggshells all the time and or spending all of your energy trying to forestall or mitigate his outbursts. This is so unhealthy for you and for your kids. Growing up with an angry, abusive parent leaves such lasting damage. There is so much mental and emotional freedom to be found on the other side of this bullshit. You don't need to be his metaphorical punching bag and you don't need to keep forgiving his awful behavior. ETA. Where has he said he recognizes that he needs to change? He sometimes apologizes, when he wants sex, and then does nothing about it. Stop listening to his words and pay attention to his actions and work on breaking out of your magical thinking.
I made the mistake of staying with an angry man for far too long.
He never laid a hand on me, but it was still an unpleasant marriage and the kids suffered due to his constant irritability and his tendency to put himself before others. If I had it to do over again, I would have left a lot earlier. How can I, 23F, deal with the fact that I'm not my boyfriend's, 31M, type? My boyfriend, 31M, and I, 23F, were talking today and I can't remember how this came up, but he said to me, "Sorry to tell you babe but blondes really do it for me. I am brunette by the way." He had told me a few days earlier that he liked petite women with smaller breasts, around a B cup, and myself being a Spanish woman I have rather large breasts, D cups, double the size he prefers, and an athletic and hourglass body. I asked him today if he preferred these things in a woman why he was dating me, since I am the literal opposite of what he usually goes for, and he said it was because of my personality, and that he liked my body but that I'm the curviest he's been with and that my breast size is the maximum he would be with.
I can't help but feel really insecure about what he said.
I don't know why I feel this way, but how can I deal with these feelings I'm having? He's deliberately making you feel bad about yourself so that you are grateful he chose you anyway.
Just simply dump him.
Tell him assholes aren't your type.
Oh geez. Look at the age gap. He's with you because you are young enough that he can manipulate you into becoming his ideal type.
It starts with, "I prefer blondes," morphs into, "You'd look amazing with blonde hair. How about I pay for you to get it done?" and develops into full control from there.
Clothing, gym membership, food, friends, all controlled by guilt and emotional blackmail.
How do you deal with it? Find someone who thinks you are perfection the way you are, because you deserve nothing but pure adoration for the wonderful person that is you.
Honey, he's negging you on purpose to destroy your self-esteem. He wouldn't be telling you these things otherwise. You have no control over them and can't change them. This is purely about tearing you down.
The age difference is no surprise. He dates younger explicitly so he can pull this nonsense. If he's giving you doubts about your physical attributes, I'd say this isn't the man for you. You're the perfect woman for someone. Just not him.
Beating heart. I'm so sorry to point this out, but a 31-year-old man does not date a 23-year-old for her personality. He is trying to control you by making you feel bad.
He's obviously attracted to you, but he thinks negging you will make you insecure, so you're less likely to push back against him for fear of losing him. My 29F married brother-in-law 40M is hitting on me. What do I do? My husband 33M has a brother who used to live abroad but came back with his family about a year ago.
I'm conventionally attractive and large-chested, so I'm used to unwanted attention. I think it's important to mention that I don't wear revealing clothing or excessive makeup to accentuate my looks.
However, I will dress up for events like weddings or birthday parties and wear swimsuit on a beach just like everyone else.
I think I have a right to that.
Ever since brother-in-law came back and started attending family events, he's been making me uncomfortable.
He makes inappropriate comments regarding my looks, stares at me, stands too close, and is overall creepy. Recently he started sending me funny pictures and videos on Messenger. I don't like it but did not make a scene because on paper it does look like a normal thing for a brother-in-law to do. I raised my concerns to my husband anyway and he told me his brother has always been a dick and that he'd talk to him. We see them at least monthly because brother-in-law lives with my in-laws and lately I've been dreading the visits. The last time we saw brother-in-law crossed the line and tried to touch my ass. My husband saw it and confronted him, which resulted in a conflict and my husband pushing brother-in-law before Phil separated them and we went home. Not long after that Mill came over. I currently stay at home with a toddler and a 10 Malio. She told me I make my Sil uncomfortable and asked what I thought I could do to remedy the damage that was done. I told her that it's not me but the brother-in-law who's making everyone, including his wife, uncomfortable. She told me maybe brother-in-law is being a bit inappropriate but their family had no problems before I came along and now Bill's marriage is suffering. Her sons turned against each other and basically everything is going to shit. She asked what I was going to do again and I said I don't know what you want me to do really. She told me to apologize to Sil, refrain from coming over until this dies down and encourage my husband to make up with Bill. Upon leaving, she also told me this conversation was between us women, and if I was to tell my husband about it, she'd know I'm really having fun wreaking havoc in their family. I don't know what to do. I'm not comfortable with lying to my husband. I'm also not comfortable with my kids going over there without me. I have other reasons for that. I don't feel like I did anything wrong here. Mill thinks I did wrong by swimming in the pool on a hot day, which I think I should be allowed to. I also wore a one-piece swimsuit because I'm a bit insecure about my stretch marks after having 2 kids while my Sil wore a way more revealing 2-piece. I feel offended by Mill's claims and feel that she's being very unfair but I also don't want my husband to lose his family or deny my kids a relationship with their grandparents. What do I do? OMG, you talk to your husband and tell him to handle his crazy family. This is his problem to deal with, not yours. And you let him know that his mother isn't welcome at your house until she apologizes to you. Tell your husband. He needs to stand by you. If you can't go, your family does not go. Text your Mill and tell her you thought it over and your brother-in-law doesn't get to sexually harass you and she doesn't get to blame you for his being a creep and disrespectful to his wife. Firstly, she knows she is in the wrong saying this, that is why she has asked you to keep it quiet from your husband. Tell him everything she said. Do not apologize, you have done nothing wrong, it's maybe time to limit time with his family. Tell your husband. Do not keep this from him. It's his family, he's gotta know. Your husband needs to back you up on this. Get your husband to agree to meet one-on-one with you, your Mill and husband. Let the Mill know that her stance must change or there will be consequences, including loss of access to grandchildren.
I feel sorry for your Sil.
She married a poss. Good luck. She also told me this conversation was between us women. What a manipulative nightmare of a woman. She raised a shitty son.
Her son is the problem, so she can just fuck right off with blaming you for his behavior.
I would blow the whole thing up. Tell your husband. Call out the brother-in-law when he acts shitty.
Be clear to the Sil that it is her husband that is the problem. And call out the mother every fucking time she tries to blame you for Bil's behavior.
Tell your husband his mother is trying to put a wedge between the two of you. Remember your family first, not your in-laws or brother-in-laws. She then will use it against you and say, see, she was flirting with your brother, that's why she apologized and is not coming over.